that I read unto you, Paul uses the metaphor of someone contending or fighting. He says, fight the good fight. And many of us who are living in this day and time don't realize that every day we wake up, we're in a fight. And if you're not in one today, just keep living. One is surely to come. But the thing that really embarks upon my conscience is that when we're in the fight, we're not focused. Some of us are fighting the wrong people. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying. Fighting against flesh and blood. And that ain't going to help us win the war. And so what I want to do is to give some ground that would help us to really become conscious, both mentally and physically, of focusing on the fight that we're in. And not only that, but I also want to embark upon you who have started something and have not finished it. That is never too late. And the reason why you probably haven't finished is because you lost focus or got off track. The 1955 class motto of McKinley High School said the key to success was not to take the elevator, take the stairs, one step at a time. And sometimes we have to realize that just because we gotten old doesn't mean we can't go back and complete what we started. I wish I had somebody here. There's a sign on the interstate out there with a lady who's 99 years old named Nola Arch that went back and finished school. I wish I had somebody here. She didn't lose her focus. I want to talk about 6 elements to maintaining focus, because so many times we set out saying what we're going to do and never get around to doing it. We're at the end of the year, but don't you know this year started sometime this year? And we said what we were going to do at the beginning of this year, and some of us haven't done it yet. Am I right about it? Somehow we have lost focus and find ourselves back in that same old condition, in that same old position. But I want to lay upon your heart that there are 6 elements that are necessary to maintaining focus. And the text gives them to us because every fighter who professes to be a fighter and wants to be a winner has to be positioned both mentally and physically for what lies ahead. No man wants to build a house without first counting the cost. Nobody sets out to accomplish anything without considering what is needed. Focus is one of the greatest hindrances to why people never complete what they've started. I said focus. And in order to maintain your focus, I have 6 elements, and I want to give them to you in a chronological way. The first thing that if we're going to maintain focus, the first thing that we must do, the first element, is that we have to learn how to be consistent. I said we have to learn how to be consistent. Inconsistencies is a lack or an indication of a lack of focus. When you find people that are inconsistent in what they're doing, somehow, some way, they have lost focus and lost track. Successful people do daily what unsuccessful people do occasionally. The reason why they're successful is because they do it every day. They're consistent at what they're doing. We have a lot of people who start something today and stop tomorrow. Come on, help me somebody. There are a lot of people who set out saying, today I'm going to do this, put out their agenda, put out what they're going to do, and never get around to doing it because they let somebody or something distract them from what they were supposed to do. Am I right about it? Many times you set out in your journey of the day to say what you were going to do. And then the day ended without you doing what you said. Somehow, some way, you were inconsistent about what you were doing. What are you saying, Pastor? I'm saying this, that we all have to be consistent. The question of consistency should never arise in our life. I know where I'm going to be on Sunday morning. I know where I'm going to be on Wednesday night. I know where I'm going to be on Tuesday. If the church doors are open, I know where I'm going to be. I'm consistent. The Lord don't have to wonder whether or not I'm going to come to church. I wish I had somebody here. He don't have to wonder whether or not I'm going to Bible study. Those days are fixed on my calendar, and they are part of my life for the rest of my life. Consistency. You can't get a blessing from the Lord unless you're consistent. Can I get a witness here? Most of us want God to do things for us, and many of us don't do what God says. We start out, and then we stop. We start off saying what we're going to do at the beginning of the year. And then by the middle of the month of January, we've already fallen short. Can I get a witness here? How many of y'all made resolutions that you weren't able to complete? Can I get a witness here? I said consistency. Every fighter, if he wants to be a champion, must be consistent at what he does. Listen to me, saints of God. Champions are not made in the ring. They're just recognized there. You got to know what it took for them to get to where they are. I wish I had somebody here. See, consistency is what brought them to that level. I tell people all the time, you can't fail when you're doing everything you need to succeed. You can't go wrong when you're doing everything that's going right. Consistency. Paul says to Timothy, in your fight, in the laying hold of eternal life, you must be consistent. And saints of God, today, if we're going to get anywhere in life, we have to learn how to be consistent. We can't keep starting and stopping and never to start again. So many times we run out of energy because we feel that we can't go any further. I have a phrase in my office that says, you must run until the question of running never arises again in your mind. In other words, I got to do this until every day when I get up, the question of not doing it don't come. Come on, help me somebody. When your mind can get to that point where it never bothers you to do what you're doing, then you are consistent. Come on, help me somebody. You're consistent when getting up, going to work is not a bore anymore. Come on, help me somebody. Coming to church is not a bore anymore. I don't know if I'm going to come this Sunday. I tell folk, if you go to the Bayou Classic, that's a Saturday night. What's going to stop you from going to